Well, I wanted to chat with you. Let me give the rundown for people who are just joining. Amyallen, who has been everywhere and anywhere across the world and back plenty of times. Notably, you know, choreography for Usher and so many people, but you have a mentorship program, and that was started like way back. So I kind of just wanted to see how you're staying connected during this whole pandemic that we're in, and you know, just what you've been up to, so that people can maybe take away a few things and apply it to what they're doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because I was actually going to do an online program before this all ended up happening, just because like last year, you know, I filmed a movie in Canada, so there was certain dancers that I got connected with that I, you know, wanted to, you know, continue with them on their journey. And so those thoughts were going on, and there's just, you know, obviously dancers all over the world. So I was kind of on that road anyway. So this was actually quite the blessing, because I think it makes people see what the possibilities are.
Right.
And, you know, that you can do it. And there are online, you know, different programs and stuff that are doable. And it's something that you can now, the transition is going to be interesting of, I think those people that have really gravitated towards it and see the benefits of there being online things, I think they'll keep it in their life.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll still remain a part of it. I know, you know, for me personally, I was already into like webinars, different like online summits. I'm already a homebody person anyway, so if I can be at home and learn something, it's great. Like, you know, it's also now, obviously there's certain things that are gonna be a little bit better with an actual teacher present there, like when I tried tricks on my pole and then I am, you know, crashing, falling down, and you have no one to spot you, you know, that definitely helps. But there's still like, there's plenty, like there's such a wide vast of you know, just of steps, of aspects of dance that can be done online, that you actually don't need to be there in person. So and that's kind of what I really during this time really focused on as well, like especially the first couple of programs that I did online during the pandemic were just focused on that, of like the business aspect, the things that you really need to know that most dancers just don't know. And I'm speaking literally for myself, because there was so much that I, after being in the business for, you know, like 10, 15 years, still didn't know things. And was like, oh, you know, like I went to one of my very first SAG meetings just, you know, some years ago, you know, so like there's so many things that you just don't realize. And then also just little, you know, tips and tricks of the trade that people don't always tell you. So like those things are really great. You can do them. You know?
Well, and I feel like there's so much, you know, people kind of did one of two things. They kind of like jumped in like head first and were like, let me get through this, right? And some people were like, let me see what's going on, and then started teaching their own classes, right? And I feel like some of the studios were in that same vein. And it's not, you don't have to be online, you know, and that's not necessarily what I'm trying to do with all these interviews. I just want to see like how people are staying connected, because realistically, I don't think it's going to go backwards. I think it's just going to keep, you know, whatever people have added into their life, they're going to stay with, like you said. And so where do you see, as far as the dance industry, I talked to Margueritederricks, we were talking about like castings. I'm like, so are you going to modify your choreography? And she's like, no. So I'm like, okay. So when you're doing your castings, since obviously you create and, you know, are working with artists and things like that. So where do you find, you know, have you been asked to do, you know, any sort of casting while you've been, you know, at home, or when you are creating for an online platform, do you modify, or where do you see yourself fitting in with that kind of aspect?
I actually have been a part of a couple teams that have done casting, and we do it like normal. A lot of times, like, people don't realize that a lot of castings aren't necessarily your traditional castings. You know, and especially if you've dabbled in the actor world at all, you'll know that there's a lot of self-taping that happens in the acting world. So that aspect of it, you know, it's kind of been the same where I usually end up reaching out to, you know, the agent, but then I reach out to the person directly. Okay, I need X, Y, and Z with you from you, you know, can you do a video of this, blah, 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 give them more details, talk to them, give them the creative direction side of it. They send it on over. We either send it to production or whoever, you know, is making final decisions.
Right.
And yeah, so that's pretty normal. And as far as like modifying, yeah, I'm like Marguerite, no, there'll be no modifications of anything.
Exactly.
Because the other thing that I always tell people, I'm like, in LA, when you do go to a casting, generally speaking, like if it's commercial, like if it's like, you know, a movie or an artist, yes, you're going to be in a dance studio and you're going to have space for the most part, you know, outside of being a sardine of the 500 people in a room.
Right.
But when you go to a commercial audition, it's the same type of space as your living room. You're usually generally on carpet, and you have like literally like a 5x5 space to wow them and book this job. So what's the difference? You wouldn't go into the commercial audition and only give them 50% of what you could do.
Exactly.
You want to still give them 100%. So you have to learn how to adapt to your surroundings. And
that is, you know,
so
I love that you just said it, because I mean, the only thing that in a commercial audition, obviously, if you're there, you know, let's say it's a Coca-Cola commercial and they're asking you to drink Coke, or it's a McDonald's commercial and they ask you to eat McNuggets, they probably aren't giving you the McNugget, but that doesn't mean you're not right. But you're still in a box, right? And that's so true that the box at your house is the box in the room. So at the audition, so that's so like mind-blowing to me, that just saying it is like, yes, you are so right. But what do you feel like, you know, when you're moving forward as far as like actual jobs, let's say? So I've seen a few different like Broadway casts come together and seeing, you know, whether it's, you know, I think it was Kinky Boots did something, and, you know, you see everybody in their little squares. Like, how do you foresee, like, with different productions in the dance space? I haven't really seen a whole bunch of that. I've seen it on a little bit of late night TV, where maybe some of the backup dancers for, you know, an artist are in their little squares because the artist is performing. But where do you see like dance going as far as being able to create actual productions in this, you know, in this little box that we're in?
Right. Well, I mean, hopefully like that box get lifted pretty soon. You know, but I think there are some really creative ways. I know with Usher, they did a green screen. So they literally had each dancer come in and film on the green screen and then tied it all together. So then, you know, everyone was there. And then obviously there is the having less people there, having less performers, you know, which it's still great. I'd rather that than to have none at all. I think there would have to, and then I know like actually one of my students did like a commercial, and it was really cool. The technology that they used and how they brought everyone kind of in the commercial together. So they still ended up having a lot of people in the commercial, but they, you know, filmed by themselves in their own house, you know. Another music video that was shot, same thing, it was a very small crew, you know, so it's just, you know, smaller crews, more individualized attention. You know, you definitely see plenty of commercials even out now, and, you know, they're done recently because people will have like a mask on or something. So, you know, you're like, that wasn't the fashion, you know, a couple of months ago. So, you know, it's clearly new. So I think that they're figuring out ways to do things. Also, you know, utilizing outdoor space as well is a huge option that can be done, because, you know, clearly a lot of people can gather in an outdoor space.
Exactly. Well, so what is the one thing you have on your bucket list to do that you haven't done yet? Because you've done a lot of stuff, you know, been, you know, award shows and tours and film and TV and music videos. It's kind of like the life cycle, right? What's missing?
Well, I have a couple of different things depending on if you're talking to Amy the dancer or Amy like other stuff. Dance wise, the person that you mentioned earlier is the one person I've never worked for. I've never worked for Marguerite. And I like being like, technical background, trained dancer, like I've always, and then of course, she's like the queen. And I took classes from her way back in the day. Yeah. Not that I was, a regular student that she got to know me by any means. So, but yeah, she's definitely on my bucket list for sure. Okay. Wow. My other bucket list.
This is hard. Well, I mean, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I want to keep climbing up the ropes of like the production and creative direction side of things. Mm-hmm. But even more so to be like not just a player in the show, but running the show.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Well, anything's possible. And you have so much experience that you've seen both sides of it, from behind and in front, of the camera. So I wish you all the luck that way. What do you think as far as your mentorship program? Are you continuing that? Or are you adding elements online? I saw you were doing I looked at your website a little bit. There's like free workouts and things like that. So what is your best? You've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I actually was offering different programs online, one for like brand new people that have never worked with me, because obviously there's like a lot of information that's given. And then I have one for people that are alumni to work with me. I was about to do an in-person one, and now that things are the way they are right now, it's a little bit tricky, but actually I applaud a lot of the studios because they're like taking their classes outdoors, or because a lot of facilities have the garage doors, so they actually qualify as an indoor-outdoor space. They're still able to conduct. So there is that in mind that I might go back to, because I personally love to spend a month with somebody, because then I can actually see growth. I can like be there with them, and there's just so much that like not even a month doesn't even cover what you really need to know and learn. And and it's a continuous process too in this industry. We're always changing and growing and learning more. So things got a little halted just the other day and in my mind, and so now I'm trying to just wrap my head around what it is that I'm wanting to do, because there was a couple of projects already lined up that now aren't happening. So going back to the drawing board, but I will actually, even once everything is lifted, I'm going to continue the online program.
Oh, awesome. Well, so yeah. If anybody's watching, obviously you can find her online. On her Instagram is Got Amy Dance.
Yep.
And then what is the best website for people to find you at?
I want to change the name because I never remember what it's called. Is that bad? That is so bad. That is so bad that like I never can remember the order of it, but I want to say it's choreographeramyallendance.com.
Okay.
Which is such a tongue
earlier, so I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, and I need to just change it to Got Amy. It's just so much easier.
Yeah, well, and then they've got Amy, right? And it's easy.
Right.
Well, I appreciate you, and I feel like I've been in the circle, but I've never actually worked for you or with you, but I definitely respect all of the work that you've done, and I appreciate you just giving back through your mentorship, obviously, and then continuing to create. And just the fact that you have like a few things on your bucket list that you haven't done just means that you're like the constant like go-getter, mover, shaker, pusher. So I just appreciate you. So thank you so much for chatting with me.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, keep me posted. If you have anything else that you want to share, I'm happy to do it again.
Will do.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye.